friends. I sure hope you're having a good day today. We would like to go over making homemade stones because this one here has been requested by a friend for me to do a tutorial on, and this was painted on a handmade stone. Now, I get molds from the HappyDottingCompany at her Etsy account, HappyDottingCompany, and so I have this oval stone mold, this one. I have this heart stone mold, which makes this one. And then these little paint trays make these little ones. These little ones turn into ladybug magnets. See that magnet on the back? Fits right in there. They pop right out, and I have a lot of these. I just keep giving them away. One of the items that's very useful to make these stones is going to be a scale. Sometimes when you make the stones, you get little bubbles in them. Not always, but once in a while. And when I get bubbles, I use this plastic wood. I put a little bit of this plastic wood on my finger with a tad bit of water, and I just rub it onto the stone, make it smooth, and it fills those holes right in. If need be, you can get a medium weight sandpaper and sand the whole thing down. You can sand just the rough parts down. Sometimes these little holes will just sand right out, and they are sandable, so don't forget about trying that also. You're going to need a couple bowls. I use the stirring spoon, measuring cup, things that I won't be using for cooking, and these trays. So right now, let's go ahead and put these aside. This is what we're going to need. This is my Ultra Cal 30. Ultra Cal 30, I get it on Amazon. Yes, I had to pay a little extra for shipping because I ordered 50 pounds. But then again, you save more money ordering the 50 pounds, so it's a catch-22. I put the bowl on here. I press 0. I press it again, and that way it's going to take out the weight of the bowl. I'm going to put it on ounces because that's what I like to use. And the HappyDottingCompany has a chart. And in her chart, it tells you exactly how much of the Ultra Cal you're going to need and how much water you're going to need to fill this mold. So this one is 8 ounces of Ultra Cal, 3 ounces of water. The oval one is 8.8 ounces of Ultra Cal and 3.35 ounces of water, and that will fill this one. And anything left over is what I'm going to pour into here. Sometimes I get all 6, sometimes only 4. And I'm going to pour this in here, just regular tap water. 6.35 ounces of water. There's my 6.2. There's 0.3. I'm going to add a little bit more since I don't have a 5. So there's a 6.35 ounces of water. Now that I have this at 0, I'm going to take the water off, and I'm going to put the bowl for the Ultra Cal 30 on. Get my spoon ready. Now this one we needed 16.8 ounces. I am going to just start putting it into the bowl. There's 1. There's 9 ounces. 14.6. 16.8 ounces. And that's to do both of those molds. So I'm going to move this here, put these two together, and we're going to be using these molds. So you never want to pour water into the Ultra Cal. It has a tendency to make it have more bubbles, and the less bubbles the better. So I simply just start stirring it in to the water. I don't do a whole lot at a time, but you can see it bubbling when I put it in there. It's the strangest thing. See those big old bubbles coming up? Let me stir it a little bit. Stir as you go. It can get clumpy and it gets thick around the edges, so you want to keep stirring this. I stir it literally for probably almost 8 to 10 minutes as I mix it, and at the end I just keep stirring it because the directions on the Ultra Cow says the longer you stir it, the more you mix it, the better the set will be. So keep stirring as you mix. You'll see it's kind of clumpy, and I want to get all those clumps out before I add more. Okay, let's get that last little bit in there. I'm going to go ahead and start filling these. Anything left over is what I'm going to go ahead and put in here. When you fill these molds, you want to fill them all the way to the top and then a little bit, because as it dries, it is going to shrink in size a tiny bit. So I'm going to start by pouring the heart. And a little bit. Now I'm going to pour some in here. Set on the camera. See if any bubbles come up to the top. So I'm going to tap this down on this one. You can tap it and you'll start seeing little bubbles coming out from under the edge. I don't worry about it too much because I can always sand them down or add the plastic wood. I think there's enough in there to make one more of these molds. Turns out that one's really full. I let these set for a good 2, maybe 3 hours, and I pop them out of the molds. They're still dark because they're still a little bit wet, and I give them a couple days to dry before them. These are some that I made last night, and they're still a little bit dark. So those will still be drying. This one's a little bit lighter. You can see the difference in the color. Wet, dry. Okay, it's been about 3.5 hours and I'm ready to take these out of the molds. I'm going to start with this one. It's the simplest one right here. I'm just going to flip it over and pop them out. 1, 2, there's one more. There we have 5 brand new little ladybugs. Now I always sand the edges of these down because they turn out so sharp. So I just turn it upside down and I just rub the sandpaper along the edge to make them smooth before I paint them. Alright, ready to see the heart? The heart is dry. There's a little bump right here. That's because I stuck the spoon in towards the very end, and that's how quickly it formed a bump. And I'll just sand that off. So I'm going to take this off here, just simply stretch around and take a look at that. Pretty nice. Alright, let's do the round rock this time. Just going to peel this off. Comes right out. You can see some of the areas that have dried more than others, but that's a perfect stone. Look at that. There's a few little holes on this side. That's actually not too bad. Most of those will come out with just a little sandpaper. So here's some of the sandpaper that I use. It's one of those sponge blocks. I believe this is 80 grit. You could use just any medium grit sandpaper and it'll work really, really well. And for the roughness on here, you just start sanding. And it smooths down pretty quickly. Because this stone hasn't dried completely, I'm not even going to press real hard. I'm going to do it in a circular motion. And you see how the dust goes in and fills all those holes? They are literally full now. This one has a few little holes in it. And HappyDottingCompany has a video, and she talks about spraying soap mixed with water, mostly water, a little bit of soap, and spraying it inside of these, and then making sure it's smooth in there, and that will help give it a beautiful surface with no holes on the front. Pretty nice. So these are the supplies that you will need to create these molds. I'll have these in the description with links. And you can create these stones and paint them so many different ways. Just use your imagination. If you have any questions, let me know. I think you can leave a comment down below and I'll be able to respond to those. Have a wonderful day. Hit the subscribe button and the like button if you enjoyed the video. That will help my channel to grow. Here's another example of a stone that I did on this one. If you want to see this tutorial, go to Rachel's Rocks. She's in Canada. She does YouTube tutorials, and I always follow her tutorials because I just love painting along with her. She makes me smile. This is my own rendition of a watercolor painting that I did. I thought, man, that would look pretty on one of those stones. So the edges are kind of pretty and scalloped. I painted the back like that. I made these cute little ladybugs. Has a big strong magnet on the back. Here's a simple one. I keep giving these away. They're so fun to paint. You could just decorate those with all kinds of bling and sparkle and gold. Thank you for watching the video. I look forward to seeing you next time.